speaking to you today from Ngunnawal country, and I acknowledge the Ngunnawal people and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I'm lucky to be speaking this afternoon after listening to many excellent talks and presentations. Mary Graham gave me a glimpse of Indigenous thinking and referred to the ideas of Michael Hudson, one of my heroes. I was inspired by the work of Louise Tarrant and Millie Rooney, and I want to find out more of the work of Marcus Foss, Stephen Liaros and Hamid Hosseini. I learned more about the works of my friends at the City of Sydney Commons, and thanks to Michael Burney and Jeff Davies confirming my understanding that money is not wealth. I have spent my working life designing, building, modelling and operating complex adaptive systems. The last 20 years has been spent understanding and experimenting with economic and social systems with unpredictable human behaviour in the small, but with stability in the large. Eleanor Rostrom's regulated commons are an example of a complex adaptive system that includes humans and their economic behaviour. And I'll use her term in the remainder of this presentation. These economic systems have many emergent properties. They provide a narrative to counter the neoliberal lies and distortions. They rid the economy of financial parasites. They provide ways to consider non-monetary forms of value in economic systems. And they provide ways for humans to address external and internal threats to their survival. Today, I'm going to take you through the idea of making everyone a custodian of the part of the planet Earth where they find themselves. The technique is to build wealth through everyday consumption. There is no one way to do this, and I believe the most common approach will adapt existing systems to become regulated commons. Like humans, each instance of a regulated commons is unique. You think there are a lot of financial products? Well, regulated commons are going to outnumber them a great deal. When we think of investing, we think of financial products. A financial product is an artifact we create that allows us to invest money to get back more money. There are many types of financial products, and the wizards of Wall Street keep inventing them. They are complicated, not complex, and they cost a lot of money to operate. There are hundreds of times more transactions in the stock market to maintain financial products than stock market transactions that invest in building new businesses for new goods and services. The biggest industry in the world is not oil or technology, it is the fire industries of finance, insurance, and real estate. There has to be a better way. Regulated commons are different. Regulated commons can be thought of as an asset that all members of a local community own in common, where local can be many things, can be physically local or local in interests and so forth. Importantly, the commons owns the asset, but individuals have custodialship over part of the assets. That means that individuals take responsibility for the assets, as well as get benefits from particular parts of the asset. That'll become a little clearer with some of the examples. All members of the cooperative contribute. Investing, they may be investors, they consume the output, they may operate it, they may maintain it, they may monitor it, but everyone who deems themselves part of the community, they all contribute in some way or other. All share in the profits from the use of the asset. And there are other constraints other than maximising profits associated with the regulated commons. That part is particularly important, and we'll cover more of that as we go along. From the City of Sydney Commons, communities build wealth and share it is the way in which we can look at regulated commons. Regulated commons are grounded in reality. Financial products give a return on money with more money. The difficulty, as Michael Burney pointed out, is that money is an abstraction. Money is something we've invented, and yet we have this idea that this abstraction can actually generate more money. That's a nonsense. And yet we operate our system as though that's what happens. Regulated commons changes that, and they give returns from the use of money. Once money is inside the commons, it is only returned when there is a sale of goods and services. So let's just look at that in a little bit more detail. With a financial product can be thought of as a money machine. We put money into the financial product and we get back more money. At the same time, we produce some goods and services. So we put in money into the money machine and we get back more money and we get goods and services. The difficulty comes in keeping track of the amount of money that we've got and having it match up with the value of real goods and services that are in the economy. Because these things go away. Light bulbs go out. Money doesn't go away unless we do something explicit to get rid of it. So we've got this incredibly complicated financial system that gets rid of money that we probably shouldn't have created in the first place. So we even have the Reserve Bank nowadays having targeted inflation. Okay, we get rid of money not by getting rid of the tokens, but by making them worth less with the passing of time. That's no way to run a system. That's our unit of measure is changing. As Michael pointed out, inches keep changing their value. That's a really hard system to keep operating. We solve the problem with the regulated commons by not increasing the amount of money when we invest money. So we invest money and we keep the same amount of money no matter what we do down here, no matter how much product we do. Now, when we do this, we don't have to get rid of this extra money. That reduces the costs of operating and makes things much simpler to operate. Is it a new form of capital? Well, capital is even worse than money. Capital is an abstraction of an abstraction. In a financial economy, capital is assets that produce an income, as measured in money, in terms of money. Investors own the assets and get a return on investments from the use of the assets. And the returns that you get are more money. In a regulated economy, capital is the right to pay for goods and services from the commons, where returns are more goods for the same amount of money. So in a regulated economy, capital is grounded in reality. In a financial economy, capital is an abstraction of an abstraction. It's no wonder we get into trouble. The interesting part of complex adaptive systems is the emergent properties that come. You make a change, like getting rid of the time value of money, which is what we've just done, and lots of things change. Buyers, in the case of a regulated economy, buyers take the risk on future prices, not sellers, or not sellers. Both buyers and sellers gain if operating costs drop. In a financial economy, buyers and sellers are at odds. Buyers want cheaper prices, sellers want higher prices. There's a competition going on there. There's a conflict with regulated commons. There is no conflict. Both buyers and sellers gain if operating systems drop. The emergent property of regulated commons is it puts non-financial constraints at the center of control. We put constraints on our systems, such as we don't allow asset to produce more greenhouse gases. We require that everyone gets a fair distribution of the profits. So and we can do those things quite independently. We can have multiple constraints associated with a complex adaptive system. And we put those non-financial things into those constraints. Give you an example, with housing, buyers don't require deposits. Occupiers acquire capital by renting, by consuming. They live in a place, they occupy the place, they take responsibility for the place, and they acquire capital. And they acquire capital in the form of future occupation, not money, but future occupation. There are automatic adjustments for changes of income. So the COVID-19 situation wouldn't have been a problem in a regulated economy. And we have index returns to counteract the problems associated with inflation. That stabilizes the system and makes it much easier for us to keep track of things. With solar panels, consumers don't have to have any capital to get solar panels. We have group buying and maintenance. We have community load management. We have community batteries, all ways of being able to reduce the cost of ownership, if you like, for the cost of operating the systems. And both investors and sellers with solar panels, both of them win by having group buying and maintenance, community load management and community batteries. What we could do to make this all happen is we can create a new economy virally, and we can start off, and which is what we've been doing. Is we start off and we build up a community, and we then try and attract people to that community. I don't think we've got time to do that. This is not a viable way of being able to rescue the planet. I think we have to do something else, and I think that what we have to do is we have to spread the idea via trusted networks. Now, it turns out that in a regulated commons is good for the commercial banks. It's good for superannuation funds. It's good for local government, and it's good for Quangos, quasi-autonomous non-government organisations. And why is it good? Because it gives them higher returns on investment. When you make your systems that need to operate lower cost, there is a savings to be distributed. We can make sure that the commercial banks, the superannuation funds, local governments, they've already got the existing networks, they get a bigger share perhaps than we would often like to have, but we make sure that it's to their advantage to join these, to turn their communities that they have into regulated commons. So that's the way in which I believe we can actually transform the thing. And it's to do with collaboration. So what we need to do is to get trusted networks together with communities, rather than thinking of the two things as being adversaries. They're not adversaries. We can make the people who have the money, and they are the financial institutions, we can give them higher returns and more positive returns. And we can do that by getting rid of a lot of this speculation and so forth. So what we're looking for, of course, are people who want to try out these ideas. Of the work that we've done, it's all open source. There's no copyright or restrictions on anything we do. And I agree with the Pirate Party, and I have personally refused to take out patents on any work that I've ever done. And the more people use open source and Creative Commons licensing, the better. If people are interested in all this, then if they ask for assistance and it costs us something to provide it, then we would negotiate the right to invest in your project as a payment. We're not interested in selling to you. We're interested in making your project a success. So that's the way in which we believe that collaboration can occur in this area. If you're interested, contact me, Kevin Cox at prepowercoop@gmail.com, or go to a prototype of a regulated commons called prepower.org and sign up and see how you go. Thank you.
Kevin, that was awesome. But since we've got some time, do you want to show us Prepower and how it's using this idea in practice?
Yeah, okay. So what should I do? Whoops.
You might be able to share a different screen or choose a different screen option and go to a browser.
So I can continue to share, can't I?
Yeah, yeah.
You can see what I'm doing.
Through Prepower as a case study for.
How long did that take, by the way?
I think it was less than 15 minutes. Oh, no, it was 17 minutes exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
About right. Okay, let's just go to Prepower.
And pretend it's still the video audience that will be watching. And
right, so look.
Share screen.
So we're right again?
You need to share your screen again.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You're not sharing, huh? Share. Keep forgetting to press the share. So you can see the screen. Prepower.org is designed for phones. We haven't extended it to work beautifully on regular screens. So this is meant to be on a phone. So you land at Prepower here, and you just get your opening screen. In order to join, you click on. There's an overview of Prepower. There's a little bit of a presentation on Prepower members, and there's a white paper and a spreadsheet. The benefits that you get is that if you're an investor, you get well, first of all, you become a member of a cooperative community or a regulated commons, and the objective of this is to provide lower cost renewable energy for your community. We expect these communities to be about 1 to 2, 300 people at the most. They can be as low as 5, because that's the number you need for a cooperative. It doesn't really matter because of the way in which we do things. The cost is independent of the size. Although I think that the larger the cooperatives get, the more expensive they will become to run. The investors get indexed yearly payments of 10% of their investment for 20 years. In other words, their investments double over 20 years. They get back twice as much money as they put in over 20 years, and the returns they get each year are indexed for inflation. Now that turns out to be twice as good as the returns that you get from the average Australian allocated pensions. So that's twice as good as the allocated pension, the average Australian allocated pension, which is how we set the 10%. When you're designing these commons, you work out what it is you need to give investors and what it is you need to give consumers, and then you figure out a way in which you can do that. If you're a consumer, you get your energy from the cooperative at 30% less price than the grid price, and you get the right to buy future electricity at a further discount. So you in effect earn capital that's available to you when you're paid for the part of the commons that you are using. So you're using the panels on your roof, and as you use that power, 50% of the money you pay goes towards the payment for electricity in the future. So that's what capital is. It's a right that you have to get paid to pay for something in the future. Cooperative community, of course, members run a cooperative and help each other save electricity and save money. We think that pre-power cooperatives are going to really come into their own with community batteries, because on average, it appears that about 50% of the energy that you generate on your roof goes into the grid, and you only get that amount of money. If you're going to join, joining, it's a pretty simple process. I won't join because I've already joined. I'll go back and I'll sign in. So it's remembered who I am, and I've got to put in a password. So I can send messages and so forth to. Remember, the cooperative is a closed community, and messages are closed within that community. They don't have to go outside the community. You buy prepayment credits, so you can invest by buying prepayment credits. So you say you want to buy, you can buy as many as you like, as little, and there is no cost to buying. There are no overheads associated with buy. You just click on buy, and it tells you that you're going to get a message that you'll be told what to do, and it comes up here. Now, again, because there's no time value of money, it doesn't matter whether this money comes in tomorrow, immediately, or in 6 months' time even. You don't get the benefit of the money being in the cooperative until it actually gets there, but there's no disadvantage associated with it. That's it. That's how you buy it. And selling is much the same. Look, I'll get rid of that because I don't want to foul up my. This is the live system, so I'll get rid of that and remove it. And again, that's the system keeps track of that. So that's it. Oh, when let's see if we've. We'll go back to the home. You set up your monthly payments. You don't get invoices in the regular. Well, you do get invoices, but what you do is everything's done in prepayments. So we suggest that people just set up a regular monthly payment that's about the amount that you need to pay, and then you get your invoices in, and then if you need to go up or down, then you adjust as you see fit. But because you're getting quite a good return on investment, I think people will tend to leave their money in there, pay a little bit extra each week, and gradually build up capital within the cooperative. There's nothing much else to it. It's pretty simple to operate. We're putting in things like a time bank. This is the one for requesting panels for your dwelling, and this is one for administrative action. So you have to have people who administer the thing, reconcile things, update people's status and so forth. So that's it.
And your pre-power cooperative, as an example, I think you've got something happening in Western Division of New South Wales, Walgett or Brewarrina.
Yeah, look, we've got an agreement with the Valley Centre and to put the system into Walgett. We still got some work to do on the system, but effectively they'll be able to use the system, and we'll be able to adjust the rules and regulations to fit in with their particular needs. Yes.
Are there any other example communities that you can share with us?
No, and we've in a sense deliberately not tried to do too much. There is no point in going on until we get a large investor. We need to have a commercial bank or a super fund or a local council or someone like that to come along, because there is a lot more work needs to be done on the software, and there's a lot more work that needs to be done on doing the administrative stuff that everyone can use. So we decided that we should concentrate on looking for funds. It's interesting that in the looking for funds, I'll stop the sharing. In the looking for funds, the people like the idea, the funders like the idea, but it doesn't fit in with their asset requirements. And it's going to take an organisation that is willing to change their criteria for investment away from ownership of assets, which is what they base their investments on, to the income stream that we provide. Our income stream is pretty secure and much more secure than assets. And this is the main difficulty at the moment. So but we want to do that first, because there's trying to do it in a piecemeal manner is not a good idea. You need to have the funds to be able to do it properly, and away we go.